So the topic that I'm going to be talking about is why birds aren't real. I know that might sound crazy, but just hear me out. In 2001, the government got rid of all the birds and replaced them with drones so the government can watch over us every day. In the late 1970s, a group of people found out that the government was doing this and started a movement called Birds Aren't Real. The government immediately censored this movement. They were able to censor it because it was in the 70s when stuff was way easier to be censored. This movement started again in 2018. You may be wondering, how were the birds killed? There were water tanks that were dropped into the lakes that were filled with a bird poison that caused it to be a virus that spread and was passed on to other birds. Only birds were affected by this. It would make it through their bloodstream and affect their bone structure and cause the birds to decompose and die. Now, have you ever wondered of all the different types of birds there are? Parrots are able to repeat what someone says even though they don't have a human mind. Many of you might be thinking, where does the sound come from then? The sound actually comes from a microphone implanted chip inside the fake bird's chest. The sound is then projected through the bird's throat and then is interpreted to cause a human voice. Instead of it being an animal, it is actually an FBI agent talking directly through the microphone. Vultures are used to keep roadkill out of the highways. The bluebirds are actually scanning you. The color of the bird attracts your eyes so they can scan you. Have you ever wondered why a woodpecker pecks so quickly? It's actually a fake bird that takes quicker pictures than any other bird. Pigeons are found everywhere, and the reason why is because the government is keeping track to make sure nothing is going on. So this is why if you're at a park and someone is causing trouble, you'll see a cop randomly show up. The government is alerting the police to go where there is trouble because of the pigeons. There are times where you're eating outside and a bird randomly flies near you and is just staring at you. If you ever see the bird tilt its head, that means you are being recorded and being used as footage. When you hear birds chirping, that is just another way to signal the other fake birds that they got the footage. This is why sometimes the cops randomly come by, and because the government is watching what people do through the fake birds, causing them to alert the cops so the cops know where you're located. The question I want you to ask yourself is, when was the last time you ever caught a bird? You can pet a dog and say it's a real thing, but birds fly miles above the sky and you just assume that it's a real thing, well, they're really not. When you try and catch a bird, you are never able to because of how fast it takes off. You aren't able to catch them because they don't want to get caught, because you will be able to grab them and feel the metal that they're made of. When birds migrate, they fly to the south when it gets cold. The reason why they all fly to the south is because they recharge up. They go and charge up. When they're up north and the cold weather starts to get cold, and the battery starts to die from the birds. There are other theories saying that the birds have a electrical charging coil on their feet, because when they sit on a power line, the birds could be charging. That's why they're up there and never get electrocuted. If a human was to get up there, we would probably be electrocuted. If you ever find a bird that recently just died, it's because it didn't make it in time to recharge. In the movie Bird Box, people wear blindfolds constantly because the creatures mess with your mind and tap into your deepest fear. But I'm just gonna take this movie and apply it to the conspiracy theory. Let's just say the people wear blindfolds constantly because they don't want to take them off because they don't want to see the birds. Can the reason be that they don't want to see the birds be because birds aren't real? So they can't take their blindfolds off, because if they take their blindfolds off, they'll die. It's kind of like saying, if we start exposing that birds aren't real, the government will come and kill us. If people find out that birds don't exist, the government will get caught, and they don't want that. If a few people found out, they can just take them and make them not talk. But if everybody found out, They will try and get rid of them, causing a lot of chaos that they would want to avoid. You might be thinking to yourself, what about a chicken? Well, chickens aren't really birds. Sure, they have feathers, but they can't even fly. They can pretty much just jump and land. Saying birds are chickens is kind of like saying just because a dog has fur and claws, it's a bear. So in conclusion, these are the reasons why birds aren't real. Next time you see a bird while you're eating outside, you might want to scare it away so you won't be recorded and being used as footage. Thank you.